Wednesday, 20th day of May 2026. Welcome to another edition of the National Agenda live here on Pan-African Television with yours sincerely, Blessed Kofualomaso. It is always a pleasure to come your way every afternoon with this show. And I always say that afternoons do not get better than this. This is where we talk about our country, Ghana. This is where we talk about the issues, the many issues plaguing us, and we try our best possible to find or to proffer solutions to these problems. This afternoon isn't going to be any different. We have some issues to discuss here on the national agenda. I'll let you to be a part of it. Let me remind you that we are coming to you live from Asudizi at number 48 Sonika Street in Abilinkpe. But that's not all. We spread our tentacles across some 46 other African countries via satellites. We are in some parts of Europe as well as South America. If you are watching us across the length and breadth of the country, thank you so much for your time. From the Upper East to the Upper West to the Northern region to the Savannah region to the Northeast region, down to the Ashanti region, the Bono East, the Ahafu region, the Bono region, the Western region, Western North, the Central region, the Greater Accra region, the Eastern region, the OT region, and of course the Volta region. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Once again, my name is Blessed Kofualoma. So our text lines are very active. Make sure you do well to join us. I'll be more than pleased to hear your thoughts. Your opinions do matter on this show as well, and so it's not just our guests, we come here and then they speak about the issues, but what you think as well is very important to the national agenda. And so let your messages come in. Let me know what your thoughts are. We are streaming live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Pan-African Television, also on youtube.com/Pan-African Television. Make sure you do well to join us. I've been joined this afternoon by a member of the National Democratic Congress's communications team, Holali Agbemava. Hola, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bless.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. How are issues, especially relative to electricity in Ashoman?
Well,
I'm asking because I think somewhere last week I saw you post.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw you post a communique from ECG.
Yep.
They were talking about the fact that some issues, they had to do with some issues over there. And then, so you're going to be off for some time.
Let me seize the opportunity to say a very good afternoon to all the viewers of Pan-African Television, and your good self. And thanks for having me, as always. It's true. So you'd remember when we had this discussion here, I mentioned that I am, quite glued to the Power app. And I do, regular checks on the app regarding what exercises they are carrying out, depending on the time and all that. So I think on one of such occasions, I noticed that they had published, that announcement that there are going to be outages. That clearly was going to affect my area. And so I took the notice. And like I've encouraged a lot of people to do, once in a while, just go to the app, check, even in traditional media these days, the announcements come and all that too. So we are trying to help the situation. It's not the best anyway. Nobody's denying that there are some outages, but we must know why those outages, are there, so we can plan our activities accordingly. So basically that's what I did. I got the information. I decided to just share it with other people too. I think I noticed some people also shared on
other
Facebook and other social media platforms. I think it helps all of us. It
does. Right, this afternoon we are looking at a very important issue. Over the last few days, one particular topic has taken center stage as far as the public domain is concerned. The Bono Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party made some comments relative to a judge, Circuit Court 9 judge, and the judge wasn't particularly happy about these comments, and so he cited him for contempt. This development is what the New Patriotic Party has not been very happy about. The minority leader in Parliament, Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has spoken. The national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Salam Mustafa, has spoken about this particular issue as well. And then there's been some responses. Yesterday, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice Honorable Dominic Ayini, he spoke on this particular matter as well. We are going to get into the details of these. We are going to be playing videos of all these people I have named or I've mentioned, and we are going to analyze the issues. And so, yes, I'm sure we all are aware of the comments that Abronye made. Pan-African Television would not want to participate in the dissemination of, of information that has been deemed as defamatory or libelous or calumnious. And so we are not going to be playing that footage of Abronye making those comments. But the other comments that have been made, for instance, that hasn't found its way to the courts, or that haven't found their way to the courts yet. And so for these comments, we can play for you to listen and make your own judgment. And so we'll listen to the minority leader, Honorable Alexander Penyo-Markin, and then we'll also listen to Salam Mustafa, who happens to be the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. And then we'll also listen to the Attorney General and Minister for Justice. And so I'll be calling for these videos as and when we have this particular conversation. And so, yes, the background of this story is known to all and sundry. It has got to do with the Bono Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Abronye. He made some comments that Circuit Court 9 judge found extremely distasteful. He found it defamatory, and so he was summoned. But he has been detained, and for some days now, he's still in detention, and we understand that the case has been adjourned to tomorrow. Even today, the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party has met the press and made some statements relative to the adjournment of the case and some other things that have transpired as far as this particular issue is concerned. Right, so let's get straight into one of our videos. Let us listen to the minority leader and the member of parliament for the Winneba constituency. I've forgotten the exact name. Is it what's the name of the Winneba constituency? It's not Winneba. It has a name. I don't know. I think it's Winneba. Futu. So that's the Futu, the member of parliament for the Futu constituency, and the minority leader. Yep, Honorable Penyo-Markin. Let's listen to him on, developments as far as this particular issue is concerned.
Respect for his own judicial oath. I don't think he read the law. That Circuit Court 9 judge, I have no respect for him. For a judge to say that he's remanding Abronye into BMI custody until the case is finally determined, such a judge can never have my respect. I pray that he summons me for contempt. I will continue to disrespect him until he upholds the law. He's gone beyond his judicial function, and it is not his first. It's as if he has been selected purposely to achieve this. He doesn't talk law. I don't know whether he ever passed his law exam. It's a shame. It's a shame on the judiciary. And my Lord Bafuboni must pay attention to this. For whatever it is, it's about his legacy. I'm told by December he will be 70 and he will be gone. Is that the legacy he wants to leave after Tokonu was booted out of office? And all manner of accusation leveled against Tokonu. Is that the judiciary? Yes. The judiciary, they said they were going to reset. Is that the reset? Where a judge will say he is remanding an accused, because if he allows him to go home, if he grants him bail, he is likely to talk again. So he should remain in custody. That judge.
So that was the minority leader in Parliament, Honorable Afenyo-Markin. He doubles as the Member of Parliament for the good people of the Futu constituency. He's also a lawyer. He's a private legal practitioner, and he's still practicing, by the way. His parliamentary job as a lawmaker has not stopped him from pursuing, his legal career. And so he still practices as a lawyer. And so there you heard him. You heard for yourself the minority leader spitting venom, if I should put it that way, on the Circuit Court 9 judge. And I think we all know that it is very clear that judges are not above criticism. The judiciary is independent. However, the judiciary being independent does not mean that it is free from accountability. And so judges ought to be accountable. The judiciary is not supreme. They are independent does not mean that they are supreme. No, they are not. The Constitution of Ghana is supreme. So they are not above criticism. And one of the reasons for which court proceedings are held in the public is so that you and I can go to the court, we can listen to the case, we can listen to both parties, and listen to the judge as well. And by so doing, we make our own judgments from what the judge has said after listening to both parties or all parties involved in a particular case. The judge brings or makes his verdict, and me and you can decide from what we have heard from the judge as to whether the judge was fair. And so the judge, by so doing, is on trial. Do you understand? The judge is on trial whilst he's trying someone else. He's also on trial. The Ghanaian people will be trying the judge whilst he's also trying, whichever parties are involved. And so Lord Jeremy Bentham, I remember this quote very well. Lord Jeremy Bentham said something relative to open courts and accountability of judges. He said something. He said, in the darkness of secrecy, sinister interest and evil in every shape have full swing, and that only in proportion as publicity has place can any of the checks applicable to judicial injustice operate. Where there is no publicity, there is no justice. Publicity is the very soul of justice. It is the keenest spur to exertion and the surest of all guards against improbity. It keeps the judge himself while trying under trial. This is Lord Jeremy Bentham in Scott versus Nova. I don't remember the year, but that is the exact quote, verbatim, of what he said, and the need for accountability as far as the dispensation of justice is concerned. And so, yes, judges are not above reproach. They are not above criticism. They can be criticized. But the question is that criticism fair? These are some of the questions that we should be asking. Are the criticisms an attack on the judiciary? We should be asking these questions. Are these criticisms defamatory? Is it a fair criticism? We should be asking these questions. And so that forms the basis of today's topic, free speech where should we draw the line? Free speech, where should we draw the line? There are many other questions I'll be asking Holali Agbemava, but I'm sure that everything I've said forms a premise to today's conversation and what we are going to talk about. So, Hola, I want to find out from you. You have listened to the minority leader, and I'd want you to make a judgment which is apolitical. Take off your NDC, take off your NDC cloak, and then analyze the issue. Was it a fair comment?
Bless, thank you for the question, and I'll do exactly, as you have requested. And indeed, by so doing, indeed, I'll be doing the exact opposite of what Appenyo Markins did. I think he got carried away with his audience. I believe would be predominantly, his party people. Yeah. Let's just digress a bit. You remember what this gentleman said, the owner of one of the biggest hotels in West Africa, we are told, Brian Echampo. Remember what he said when they were in power? That they were never going to hand over power to the NDC, come what may. Not so? That comment, regardless of how reckless it was, clearly you could see that it was the audience, the space in which he found himself, that may have forced him to say, what he said. It was a very charged, campaign platform. The audience were charged, all MPP. Naturally, you would be pushed, to say certain things, to please them, somewhat. I think Appenyo Markins fell for the same thing. And for someone his stature in politics and even in the legal practice, one would have expected better from him. There is no reason, to say the things he said. To be honest with you, I can't even repeat them here in the studio. Say that kind of thing about someone who even happens to be your senior at the bar. I mean, a judge. I'm sure he might have even appeared before him on a couple of occasions. For political expediency, for you to just make these comments about the person, I do not think it's fair. From the benefit of hindsight, I believe if Appenyo Markins, sits down and watches himself in that footage that you just played, he will not be very proud of himself. If that's not the case, then I'll be extremely surprised. I do not think we have to debase, the kind of politics we do, to this level, just to score some political points and all those kind of things. We'll be going into the issues itself, but my prelims will be on, the way he carried himself. And I do not think anybody in his shoes, with his stature politically and then, legally, should be making such pronouncements. They are clearly off the mark. I mean, completely needless. There was no point in, using all those, invectives on, on somebody as senior like that, at the bar. Especially when his decision on the matter had not come out. So I was asking myself, what really was Appenyo criticizing? What was it?
That he had been detained. He felt that the magnitude of the issue did not warrant a detention. And so that was something that he vehemently, disagreed with. So the reason for the scathing tirade.
So let's just zoom straight into the issues, as it's been presented. Abronye had appeared before a judge in open court on an issue, not so, because of some unprintable things he said, which infringed on some of the laws that we currently have. And I have read the decision of the judge on the matter. I think it's out. I have read it. And he states clearly which provisions or which law he stood on, to make or to arrive at the decisions that he had arrived at in court. So you are now before a judge in open court, for doing certain things. Now, thanks to Martin Pebu, every offense now is bailable, not so? Okay. But to be able to acquire that bail, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt that your continuous detention while your case is ongoing is going to completely infringe on your human rights or whatsoever. You must prove beyond that doubt. And I'm sure Abronye was in court with his lawyers. Plus, now every offense is bailable, but people are denied bail every day in open court. Ask yourself why. Now, even murder should be bailable, not so.
Yeah.
So if someone goes to commit murder and appears before a judge, and the lawyers put in a request for the person to be granted bail, and the prosecution feels strongly and makes a very strong case to the effect that if you release this man now on bail, he's going to kill another person, will that person be granted bail?
No.
Abronya is known to be defending himself in another court regarding a similar issue, true or false. So he's someone who has, gained notoriety for publishing such, reckless speeches and, saying things, all manner of things about people. So in the wisdom of the sitting judge in open court, and the issue of the prosecution was that it was clear. This gentleman will go out there and go and do the same thing for which he has been brought here before you. In that case, why would you allow him to go? And detention is not, a crime. And indeed, bless. You see, since we started having the discussion about, this Abronya issue, I have not heard anybody on any occasion say that the judge had infringed on any law by detaining Abronya. They have not quoted a single provision in any law or act that the continuous detention of Abronya infringes on all those laws. They have not quoted a single one. Not even one. And the reason they will not be able to quote any law is that detention is within the firm grips of the law. It is allowed. If you know somebody is going to commit a similar act or crime or offense or whatever it is, if you allow the person to go, the court is clothed with the power and authority to continue to detain the person. We can have the conversation about the mode of detention and where he's being detained and all that. And that's why he has a lawyer. I was listening to lawyer Bidiako the other time, and he mentioned that, look, at a point, he had to go all the way to, I think, one of the appellate courts to be able to, get bail for his client. Because at the lower courts, he was just being denied all over the place. But he didn't stop. He continued going, he continued putting in the request till his client got the bail. The lawyers of Abronya, what are they doing? How are they earning their fees? He's been, denied bail on one or two. Indeed, Abronya has been granted bail on, one offense for which he is still in court for. What about that one? So if in this case, the court finds that, look, granting this gentleman bail, may allow him to go doing what exactly has brought him before us, why would the court allow him to go? And that's why we have laws. His lawyers can challenge, the verdict of the sitting judge. I believe that's how the judicial system works, or that's how the law courts work. Something is going on in court that you are not pleased with. You make a case before the court. If you find you are not going to get any form of justice in that court, you are allowed to go to other courts to seek justice for your client. Now he's been denied bail, so the whole world should come to an end. Meanwhile, you are lawyers. Afanyo is a lawyer. Abronya is in court with other lawyers. I'm told his wife is also a lawyer. Himself, I think, has also read something, around law and all that. For someone who is, so much in touch with a lot of things, in the legalese realms, you would be shocked why he would be saying certain things like this. And when finally the law catches up with him, all hell should break loose because the MPP says that, they are being, politically, persecuted. I find that very, very interesting, bless. And I'm personally not going to give into, this kind of whole political pressure. And that's exactly what the MPP is trying to do. Look, yesterday it occurred to me, I was, thinking about the whole thing. The MPP has announced that they intend to, go on a moth demonstration or whatever they call it. By themselves, they will not be able to organize any such thing. So I think they are trying to poke, the eyes of authority, of power. So there will be a reaction for them, to just, gather momentum with and go around misbehaving, in the country. Of course, Salam has been quoted to have said that, they intend to make the country ungovernable. Anyway.
I'll come to that video.
Exactly.
Actually, yeah.
Very, very, very reckless statement to be made. And then if he's picked up right now, there are signs to come all over the place trying to defend it. Bless, we are in a lawful country. Ghana is governed by laws. I've said this on several occasions. This country is not governed by, any religious text. It is governed by law. Of course, we can have the conversation about, most of these laws that allows people to be picked up or punished for publication of certain things. There is freedom of speech. But your freedom cannot be guaranteed after you have made that speech, depending on what kind of speech you're making. And look, let me say this. I have been speaking for the NDC for the past 7 years. Bless. It is just a privilege to be on platforms like this and any other platform, to do communication, whatever form of communication, whether for the NDC or we are talking about social issues or whatever they are. There is this beautiful saying that, men are trapped by their words, and beasts by their horns. If you allow yourself, to fall into certain realms, of course, emotionally you must be on top of yourself to be able to appear on any panel. Because sometimes, things can get heated, especially, in the political seasons and all that. Things can get very, very heated. You may be forced to say certain things. I cut my communication teeth in opposition. When I started for the NDC, it was in 2018, 2019. We were in the heat of opposition. That is when I cut my political teeth in communication. But you would find that sometimes you are, you are just on the edge, waiting to be, pushed. And then you start saying certain things, because you have that edge, to try to defend your party, the cause of your party, to bring your party back to power. It's very, very, enticing. And you may easily fall for it. To say certain things and get away with it, it's not decent enough. Nobody is trying to criminalize free speech. That cannot be the case in any way. I have said on several occasions. And usually when I meet my friends, we engage in studios, I ask them, most of you have been, engaging in studio communications for a very long time. Why haven't you ever been picked up by the police? I ask them, they should ask themselves. That we've been communicating for so long, I've been with you guys for so long. Why is it that none of us have ever been picked up after any show we've gone to or anything? You have a responsibility to communicate and communicate properly. Not just because you have the opportunity of sitting behind a microphone and then having a camera in front of you. You say whatever you want to say about people and then you think you can just get away with it. It doesn't work like that. We must put responsibility and accountability at the forefront of our lives as a country. If not, we are not going anywhere. The likes of Abronye cannot be, encouraged, and the way they behave cannot be encouraged. I just heard you say that there is no way you could even play back what he said about the judge. Nobody is interested in even playing it back because it is just that low, debased, reckless. Nobody should be heard saying any such thing on a radio or nowhere should those things be encouraged. And that's not the kind of politics we want to encourage in this country at all. I will be shocked if anybody tells me that the way Abronye behaves and speaks, he finds it good enough to model after as a politician or anything. That's not a very good model. We should not be encouraging such things. The law is there. We may have issues with the law and how long it's been there. Should we do some fine-tuning and all that? Of course we can. But we must always protect those who fall victim to people like Abronye. And in this case, for me, that would be the judge. Because Abronye had no business saying the kind of things he said about the judge at all. And to speak even in general, people should learn this. People have worked so when we are told the judge will be going on retirement, very soon, not so. He's almost 70. Somebody who has practiced for so long, been a judge for so long. The kind of things that Abronye said about him, doesn't know the implication on cases that judge may have sat in court to try. Is he aware of the implications? So because we have the opportunity to speak, it doesn't mean we should speak anyhow. It doesn't work like that. And we must discourage it with all the force we can, of course. Like I said, if his issues with his detention and how he's been detained. For instance, we are told that, he's being kept by the, is it a BNI? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, they have a holding facility, don't they? Mm-hmm. The police is allowed to detain, not so. Police cells are enough to detain. We have other investigative, institutions also who have, spaces, to detain and all that. The issue I have is with our inability to, to operate a proper jail system. Because once, you are in police detention and you are taken to court, next step you are going to prison. It doesn't work like that. We must have a holding, facility in between. Because sending somebody to someone when you are still trying the person, what if the person now, becomes, is discharged and acquitted? Someone is a prison. Yeah. I think it's a medium or maximum prison. People go there to go and serve sentences. So why should it be a holding place for people whose cases are still in court and being tried? I find it completely, out of way. The judicial system and, or all legal systems and the prisons must be able to do something around that. I think it's worrying. You go to other countries, they have, a proper system. Yes.
Where they have
police arrest you, you are in police, custody for a while, you go to court. Once you are, sent, to remand, you go through the jail. Nobody sends anybody to prison. I think it's something that we should, be. These are the things we should be discussing anyway. These are the things, Bless, we should be discussing. How our systems are working and if they are working effectively. There is no need for anybody to be, having a time in court to defend themselves, and then they'll go and be traveling between Insawam and all those kind of things. It's completely needless. I think we can bridge that gap so that some of these issues will be resolved. And I think part of the reason why the MPP is agitating is because of how he's being held. The detention space and all that. That he's been denied bail. He's even being kept, at the DNI and whatever. They may have some feeling that he's being maltreated and all that kind of thing. But these are issues that can be verified anyway. He has lawyers. They'll be allowed to see him and all that. So we should never in any way, shape or form encourage reckless speech. There are laws. Once it catches up with you, like you said, the courts are there and open. I've had the opportunity of going to open court to, watch how proceedings go. And even all Ghanaians by now would have known how court proceedings go because of the election petitions and all that. But beyond that, there are other issues. I keep saying that once a while, we should take time and visit open courts to see court proceedings. I think it will straighten the way some of us behave in this country. Because we think we can just do anything anyhow and get away with it. Once you are put in that box, everything changes. It's a matter of law. Whether you are aware of the law before you committed the act or not, it matters not once you are in that box. And the questions are being thrown at you based on law.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
It is no excuse. Right. On several occasions, I've had the opportunity of telling people that, look, if you are, regardless of your religion, when you wake up in the morning after doing your devotion, the next book you should take after the Bible or Quran should be the Constitution of the country. Yes. Read what is in there, because your ignorance is not going to get you acquitted of any wrongdoing when you are found wanting. It will not. It is the law that will get you acquitted. It is only on the basis of law that you'll be freed from any charges that are brought to you. So we should not encourage or entertain ignorance. If you have to speak, choose your words. I have said time without number that the best way to get away with anything is to be inquisitive. People, social media is awash with most of these reckless and idiocy, if I'm allowed to even put it mildly. People who do not know you from anywhere will just get up, post your picture, and start saying all manner of nonsense about you. Pardon my French this afternoon. They don't know you from anywhere. Just post your picture and start saying rubbish about you. And people expect to get away with it. I do not understand how they come to that kind of conclusion. It's a deluded impression that you actually think that you can post people's pictures, say all manner of things about them, and get away with it. It doesn't work like that. There are laws against that kind of attitude. People's reputations must be protected, because it takes a lot to build status and reputations. You can't just get up one day, sit in front of a camera, sit behind your phone keypad, and then just type anything or write anything about people. Plus, it doesn't work like that. We should discourage the likes of Abronye and then the reaction from Apenyo.
Right. So is there a consensus that of course, Abronye's issue is in court, but is there a consensus that the minority leader attacked the judiciary? He attacked a judge and brought the name of the judiciary into disrepute. Is there a consensus that commentary, targeted a public official, it targeted a judge, and it targeted an institution, which is the judiciary? And if the response to this question is affirmative, then I'd want to know, why hasn't the law taken its course? Is the minority leader above the laws of this country? If he truly has acted in ways that is in variance with the 1992 Constitution and has attacked Ghana's judiciary. I'm not saying criticized, because criticisms can be fair.
Of course.
But this is an attack.
Yeah.
If we are all in agreement that he launched, some invectives at a judge, and it was distasteful, it wasn't proper, then why has he not been made to face the full rigors of the law? Are we afraid? Is the judge afraid to summon him or to cite him for contempt?
Two things, quick. First one, of course, the GBA has come out reluctantly, if I may put it.
You think they were forced?
Of course, I think so. Especially after, the little swipe, if I'm allowed to put it, that the government's communication, minister, so after Felix's, call out of the GBA, the PRO came out and said very, very clearly that he felt, or the body feels, that what Apenyo Markins said was unethical, one, and two, unprofessional. It brings me to a very simple question. According to the GBA, if one of yours, someone who is a member, I believe of very good standing, a leader in parliament also for that matter, has said things that you feel is unethical and unprofessional, why? The body GBA, they don't have any rules and regulations that govern how their members must carry themselves. Are they saying that there is nothing they do about members who go about being unethical and then being unprofessional? So beyond coming to condemn what he said, what next? That's the question. And I believe the same question you're also asking. Now the judge. Apenyo has actually even dared the judge to cite him for contempt, not to. Bless, I'm equally surprised, just like you, that till this point we've not heard anything. What I know is that I think the majority is trying to get Parliament to get Apenyo to answer some questions. It would be good to start from Parliament anyway, because he's a leader in Parliament. He can't just be allowed. You see, it's becoming one too many from Apenyo. He's done certain things already that we are trying to deal with in the same Parliament. Talking down people, talking to people anyhow, making wild allegations, baseless allegations. Now he's added this one to it. How is Parliament going to react? Number two, how is the judge also going to react? Because clearly he should cite Apenyo for, contempt.
I'm saying this because yesterday Apenyo came to say that, Honorable Apenyo Markins said that, and I quote, questioning excesses, and this was in defense of the things that he said.
The reckless things he said.
Yeah, well, questioning excesses of a judge's pattern of conduct does not amount to an attack on his person. Apenyo Markins defense comments about Circuit Court 9 judge. So this is what he says. So my question is, so what then amounts to an attack on the judges, or what then would have amounted to an attack on the judge's person? Because we listened to the video. He said he doesn't even think, he wonders if the judge passed his law exam. So if he didn't pass, if he didn't pass, then it means that he probably would be occupying that position as judge illegally. Then even the processes through which he was called to the bench has been put in question by the minority leader. Then he goes on to say that it wasn't the first time he had done that. Then, okay, so in this instance, questioning the pattern comes in, that this is something that he believes he had done repeatedly. You understand? But then to say that I don't believe that you even passed your law exam, then if you didn't pass your law exam, how do you even become a lawyer in the first place? And if you haven't practiced for at least 10 years, how are you then called to the bench to come and serve as a justice of any court in this jurisdiction? So then, so we all share some sentiments as to why the Honorable Minority Leader has not been summoned for contempt if there is a concord that the things he said were libelous and then put the judiciary into dispute and questioned, or was an attack on the person of the judge. I mean, that should be there. We should be asking these questions.
Bless.
And I haven't asked it. I haven't asked the question by the way. My question now is, if I, Bless Kokwalo Maso, have said these things about a judge, there is an almost certain assurance that I'd be in court by now. If I said this about a judge, I'm more than certain that I'd be in court by now. Is Afenyo marking above the laws of Ghana?
Let's you see.
Why are we afraid of him?
Let's you see. So, like I was saying, Afenyo already has certain issues to answer for in Parliament. I mean, he's fond of doing these kind of things. I think
but then I understand you. I'm not to cut you, but what have they amounted to? What have been the results of? Have we seen the back of these issues?
So that's where we are all struggling. That's what I'm saying. That for me, I think that what Afenyo has been requesting for some time now, we should just give it to him. The man has been doing these kind of things for some time now. In Parliament, he does it, he'll get away with it. Now he's doing it again, he may get away with it again. And why he keeps getting away with it, I personally do not know. If I were the judge, by now, I would have taken action against Afenyo. Because he's calling his entire legal career into question. He's somebody who has practiced, he's just going on retirement too. It tells you how long he's been, a judge or been practicing law. Afenyo, just by, some few seconds, he's trying to call all the achievement of this man, that judge, regardless of what the situation is. He has just poured water on everything regarding that man in the court. So how are people going to see that judge right now? How are they going to see him? How is that going to, infringe on all the cases that he has ever even touched? People may think that, then that's how he is anyway. Look, he had no grounds to say what he said to that judge. He's completely defamed him. And what he's trying to do, that afterthought, you're trying to say he was criticized, it is not criticism. We know criticism when we see it. Criticism would have been allowing, the processes to go on and question the processes based on law. Afenyo was saying that the judge is not talking law. Is he Afenyo talking law? What law did he quote in trying to raise issues against the judge? What law did he quote? Now, the judge's reasoning has come out. And the reason he's still detaining Abronye has been clearly stated. What have they been able to say concerning that? That is what we should be criticizing, if there is any ground for criticism. As for detention and refusal of, or denial of bail, it is very normal. Afenyo should know that. He should be the first person to know that. So if you have an issue with the whole thing, deal with it. As to why he is not being called for or cited for contempt, I don't know. I personally don't know. And I wish he does. I wish Afenyo is cited for contempt. Because it's becoming one too many. And if we are not serving deterrent to some of these things, then where are we going as a society? People do things and then they just get away with it. Abronya has been getting away with this recklessness, talking by heart anyhow, for a very long time. Now the law is catching up with him and people are crying foul. Should he be allowed to continue, just defaming people like that? Is it proper?
There's a I think a few days ago, one journalist made a comment that no journalist is neutral. Even me, I don't want to be neutral. I mean, especially when you can look at an issue and as a right-thinking member of the Ghanaian society, as a human being with brains, you can just analyze an issue and say that, oh, this is right and this was wrong. And so there are times here when I've taken positions on issues. I think some time back, I think it was somewhere 2 weeks ago that the Greater Accra Regional Minister came under severe attacks for comments she had made. And I had a position which was very different from the popular position. I sought to agree with the comments that she made. People, begged to differ. A lot of people actually begged to differ. And so I am a man of my own mind. Now, I want us to look at another video. And you, the viewer, should also make your own judgment. This time around, it is the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Salam Mustafa. Let's listen to what he had to say relative to this very conversation.
I think that a minority is exaggerating.
When the NPP says we'll react, because we are not a small political party. If for nothing at all, in the last election, over 4 million people voted for us. And if you count to our database, we know we have numbers. And if this nonsense doesn't stop, we will weaponize our support base and we will make this country extremely ungovernable for them. We are sending this warning and caution to government that release Abronye. Otherwise, should anything happen to Abronye in custody, you have us to contend with. And this constant harassment and intimidation of NPP people, if you people don't stop it, we'll make sure that we react in such a way that you will not be happy with us. You have a country to govern, and we are here to support you and give you the best of advice from opposition point of view. If you turn us into enemies, we will give you rebellion. And this, take it from me. If we have to weaponize the entire youth of the NPP, rally behind our entire support base, I promise you, we will. Today, if you're an NPP person, when you wake up, you don't know whether you are the next person on the list. And that these days, when you are going out, you must prepare yourself well. You must have toothpaste, toothbrush, sponge, Milo, Cerelac on you, because you don't know whether you'll be picked up in the next moment. That is the sad reality to be an NPP person in Ghana today. For a judge, in all intents and purposes, to look into the eyes of a fellow man and say, go and lie in detention on remand until your case is determined, beats any reasonable imagination. It is so terrible that no matter how well you want to present it, it still beats imagination. And we're asking, is this the democracy that our forebears fought for? Is this the kind of society we want to build? And we think that as a party, we will not sit by and allow this government to continue to harass, molest, intimidate our members. And we are serving this notice to government that the intimidation must end. And we are damn serious about it. That is why today, on the authority of the flag bearer, the leadership of the party, the leadership of parliament, we are taking upon this step. And that if the harassment, intimidation, persecution, and everything doesn't stop, whatever will happen, nobody should blame us. And trust me,
he spoke in very strong terms about the detention of Abronye, and that if he wasn't released and something happens to him, he was, as national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, going to organize the youth of the NPP and use them to, cause mayhem in the country. That's not what he said verbatim. He said he was going to weaponize their support base, and they were going to make the country ungovernable for this administration. Very, very strong statements there, if you ask me. This one came from, like I earlier said, this one came from the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Salam Mustafa. Right. And so would get into this conversation, and of course there are many things on my mind. Actually, I'm actually even lost for words as to how somebody in leadership of a whole political party, a very influential political party for that matter, would say such things and then have even some desire to make the country ungovernable. And my question really is, if you make the country ungovernable, where would you stay? Where would you be? Are you going to be living in the same country, or you are going to evacuate the so-called 4 million people who voted for your party in the last elections to another country so that they would be there? I mean, sometimes we expect better from people in authority. We expect better from people in leadership positions. And I don't, from my personal opinion, I don't know if I'm allowed to exercise my personal opinion on this platform, but like I said, I do have a position, and I don't think that whatever Salah Mustafa said was proper. I don't think that it was something that he should have said. It is not a statement that promotes national cohesion, and this, whatever he said, could inflame passions. And I mean, the next minute, you don't know what could happen. Some countries have done similar things, and their people have suffered, very devastating consequences. We remember Rwanda and the genocide, and what transpired, or what led to that genocide in the first place. So I don't think that no matter what, this statement was proper. But then again, I was having a conversation with you last night. Yep. And this is a position that I have long held upon careful observation. Why are you politicians so inconsistent? There's so much inconsistency. Sometimes I am tempted to believe that the politician does not have the interests of their followers at heart. All you people do is to serve your own interest when it suits you. Because I know for a fact that what is happening currently isn't happening for the first time. There have been instances, there have been situations whereby people who belong to the National Democratic Congress have been arrested, and you came out with the same, gymnastics. You came out with the same very strong response or similar response. It may not be the exact response, but you came out with similar response of dissatisfaction with how these cases have been handled. Then you win power, then you do the same thing to your opponent. So it goes this way, it comes that way. It goes this way, it comes that way. And so there is no consistency. I beg your pardon. There's no consistency as to what we see that is right and what we see that is wrong. Like Afenyomakin, just a few months ago, would tell us that it was wrong for us to call the competence of justices of the Supreme Court into dispute. He felt that it was wrong, and that, you can criticize, but then if you feel that a judge has done something wrong, you can just go higher. If a high court judge has done something wrong, you can go to, is it the appeals court? Then you can go to the Supreme Court if you feel dissatisfied. So by all means, you can have your disagreements, but then do not call the judiciary into dispute. A few months later, he's doing the very things that he preached against. And like I said, I've seen the NDC, I've seen the NPP do these things to each other. So is it that when it serves your interest, you think that it is right, but when it doesn't serve your interest, you see that it is wrong?
Well, bless, we are political creatures. And indeed, let me say hi to Abna. She's a very staunch member of the MPP in Domi Kwabenya, and she's also part of the communications team. She's watching the show now.
Right.
Say hi to her. Bless. I've said time without number that when it comes to issues regarding law, we must know and understand that there are consequences in every action you take. Whatever you say, whatever you do, there are consequences. There are legal implications to a lot of these things. Look, bless what Salam just said, and you know, it comes freely to me. Indeed, you remember Chairman Ofosu-Ampofo of the NDC? He was, I think someone secretly recorded him or something, you know, having a conversation with, you know, party faithfuls, in which they were purported to have said that they were going to make the country ungovernable, you know, set places on fire and all those kind of things. How long was he in court for that? He was actually arrested, charged, and was in court for that. Not so. Secret tape. Salam Mustafa is standing in the open, addressing, you know, press people, boldly threatening to disturb the peace of this country, make Ghana ungovernable, weaponize youth of his political party to make this country ungovernable. And he's still walking around freely, not so. So where is the consistency? This is where I depart from, you know, what you just said. There's no consistency. If indeed we were consistent, Salam should be behind bars by now, after saying what he said. When it came to Ofosu-Ampofo and a few other people, they were secretly recorded. Whether that record was doctored or whatever it was enough grounds and basis for them to have been charged. Not so. What is happening to Salam? Where's the consistency? Brazenly and openly. This is not the first time he's saying this. I think when this man was supposed to be picked up, in Team Fojuo, MP, was supposed to have been picked up after saying what he also said. Salam made the same threat. He's fond of doing that. I don't know if it's because he's the youth organizer of the party. So at any given opportunity, he wants to threaten the peace of this country because MPP is out of government. And he's still working freely. I do not understand. So if we were consistent indeed, Salam should be behind bars by now. And I'm going to say this. It's because we are not being met with the full legal consequences. When these issues happen, it is how they are handled that makes the whole thing, you know, generate all these uproar and whatever it is. If Salam is picked up today, sent to court, charged, taken through, you know, the legal process, and subsequently jailed, based on law, do you think these kind of things will continue? Why? People in the NDC have said certain things that have landed them into trouble, not so? How many times will you see the NDC, well-meaning NDC people, supporting wrong that has been said by, go to Facebook and other social media handles and go and see what we do to our own when they come out to say certain things. Go and check. Just recently, Madam, what's her name? Oh, as for Oklu, we did it very lightly for her, not so much. I'm speaking about the one who called out the Pentecost, you know, chairman and all those.
The buffer stock. I think she the deputy CEO of the.
I've forgotten her name. Yeah,
deputy CEO of buffer stock.
Something like that. I think she's the CEO of one of those places.
Ghana Gas.
I think so. I think the foundation or something
Ghana
like
Gas,
that.
Yeah.
I
think Ghana Gas.
You saw what we did to her.
Yeah.
She's a member of the NDC. After what she said, you saw what we did to her against the Pentecost minister. She also said something, you know, differently about, you know, party foot soldiers and all those kind of things. We gave her a very hard time. That is how, you know, very serious and civilized political, you know, organizations should behave. We should always be the first to call our own out. But in the MPP, it's not like that. And these are the offerings of Nanado. This is what he left the MPP with. Since he took over, you know, I mean, I think with the MPP, once you are elected as a flag bearer or something, you automatically become the leader of the party or something like that, not so? And then, of course, when you're in government, too, the president is the leader of the party. Since Nanado took over the MPP, these are his offerings. This is what his legacy in the MPP. This kind of brazen, you know, I don't even know whether to call it youthful exuberance, standing there threatening the peace of a country, and then he's walking free. So the law must work. I have always insisted and said, I think I'm beginning to sound like a broken record. Where wrong is not punished, people will just be behaving anyhow. And impunity will reign. That's exactly what's happening in this country. Why should people just be saying anything they want to say and then get away with it free? No consequences. Nothing is done to them. I don't understand. And that's why we are where we are today. And people think that they can do certain things because others have done it in the past and gotten away with it. It is the reason we are where we are today. Apenyomaki will say things and then he will get away with it. Salam will stand there and threaten to weaponize MDP youth to disturb the peace of Ghana. And then he's walking freely. Abronye will sit behind his microphone and then camera. Defame people, say all manner of things about people and get away with it. Man of God, he will say things about them. I was listening to Madam Jantwa the last time. Abronye was bold enough to call that woman a weed smoker. Can you imagine? But these are the kind of things we say we should allow people to say and get away with it. Of course, we can't allow them to just get away with it like that. There must be consequences. We are trying, to have a civilized society, and we cannot be having these kind of things going on unchecked. It doesn't work anywhere like that. You may have your issues with the way the country is being governed and with the way people are carrying themselves and all that. By all means, criticize them. But whilst doing that, you must be civil in that approach. Criticize people for what they are doing. You have every right to do so. Nobody is saying that the NDC has brought heaven to earth. We are not saying that. By all means, we will do things you have to criticize. I have just said here that even our own in government today, we are the first to call them out. You know me on this platform on several occasions. I have had cause to call out NDC people who are some of the appointees even currently, who are not working well. That the president should rise up and do something about it, because we all suffer to get power. You can't come and then assume positions and you will not be working effectively and continue to be there. It is not right. So we are the first to call ours out. If anybody comes out to say anything from the NDC, even me sitting here, if I speak recklessly and I'm unable to recall whatever I have said and apologize, unconditionally for it, I should be held accountable. And nobody should be, jumping into defense of people who speak recklessly. It doesn't work. That's not how you build a civil society. We must be civilized in the way we carry ourselves. And it's about time people are stopped from, just targeting people, saying all manner of things about them anytime, anyhow they like, and then just get away with it. It doesn't work like that. We must put a stop to it. We need to be serious in this country. And when the law is working, and you see, it is because of the way certain things have been done in the past. That's why. When certain cases go before certain courts, how we are perceived, to be handling those cases in those courts and the outcome and all those kind of things. It's the reason certain things are happening today and in the manner in which they are happening. As for the MPP, they are being chased by their own shadows. Things they did when they were in government, they feel that the same thing is going to be done to them. So even before the thing happens, they are crying out foul. And, they will be going like this for a very long time if this is how they intend, to go about it. People like Apenyu must be punished. People like Salam must be punished. So that these kind of things will not continue. Because if Salam is not punished, Honorable Apenyu Market, I'm not even sure if the Honorable title, is fit to be used for him any longer. Also the manner in which he's been carrying himself, in recent times. If they are not facing the full legal consequences of their action, then where are we going? They might as well just throw our laws away and then allow everybody to behave in any manner in which they want to behave. And it's not going to serve the interest of this country. It must stop at a certain point. But in trying to stop it, we must do it within the proper context. I have always deferred to the law. The law is the law. If you want to do the right thing, establish it by law. If the law is there, let the law lead. Let it guide. If anybody is misbehaving, the prescriptions of the law are there. How do we handle the person? We don't go about killing mosquitoes with sledgehammers. Those were some of the things that happened in the past. That's why people are scared these days that certain things will be happening to certain people. Nothing will happen to anybody. Just stick to doing the right thing. Be civil in your approach, in your manner and everything. And of course, our courts also, we have a lot of expectation of them. We expect that when cases come before them, the manner in which they handle it, especially some of the judges to maybe their commentary and all those kind of things on the matter. That's why I always want to wait to see the final judgments of judges. And then you see the reasoning behind it, what laws they are going to quote on which they are, depending to be able to, pronounce decisions on certain cases or, convict people and all that. So let's be guided. We must see something immediately. Parliament must do something about Akpanyo's behavior. It's far unbecoming of, a member of parliament. That's one. People like Salam and the way they speak, we must see an end to it. There are legal consequences. Let's begin to see some of those things. It helps, get everybody in check. So that when you are doing certain things, look, so, how many times have we said,
not to cut you, but I think you may have gotten some wrong information when you said that the GBA had issued a statement. They have not.
Well, I had a PRO, or he was speaking in his person as a PRO.
So he has not. The GBA, Ghana Bar Association, are yet to release a statement on Minority Leader Akpanyo Makin's remarks about a circuit court judge 48 hours after its spokesperson said a condemnation statement was ready but unsigned.
Oh, okay. So
he said a condemnation statement was ready.
Yes.
But it had not yet been signed.
Okay.
48 hours after. The statement is still
was ready. Okay.
It's still 48 hours after. It's still not here.
Okay. So what I actually referred to was what the spokesperson said.
Yes.
He mentioned that he felt what Akpanyo had said was unethical and unprofessional. Yeah. But there's an official statement that is yet to be released.
Yes, which hasn't been released yet.
Are they out of stocks of pens or something we can provide for them?
Maybe the person to sign it is not around.
People sign for every time, or they just need his consent. And look, the GBA shouldn't be doing these kind of things. When they continue in this manner, that's why people are saying they are an appendage of the NPP. It's because of some of these things. Common signature to a statement that has been ready for 48 hours, for which reason the statement is yet to be out. And whoever is going to sign it, I'm not getting the whole thing. I think it's even made the case even worse. I may have tried to even give them some form of credit which wasn't even due them. They are yet to issue a statement, and the reason is that the person who is going to sign is not available. Oh, okay, that's very, very far-reaching anyway. But yes, of course. So I'll take the word of the spokesperson. So now it is very clear, so that for the records, GBA is yet to issue an official statement on the matter. That's very fine. So we'll take it from there. So Bless, in such cases, like I keep insisting, we must see a very fine line between actions and its consequences. When people continue to do things and they do not face, the proper consequences of their action, we will be creating a very, very unlawful and uncivilized society. That's what we are headed towards. So Parliament should do something about Akpanyo and the way he continuously speaks. And indeed, any other MP for that matter who will speak in any such manner. There must be a deterrent. I believe there are rules and regulations in Parliament that should serve as enough deterrent to that kind of behavior. We do not want it. It's becoming too much when it comes to some of our members of Parliament. Most of them speak anyhow. That is not the reason they are in Parliament. They are honorable for a reason, because they are representing Ghanaians. We expect a certain level of behavior. At a certain beyond reproach, because you are representing people, and that's Parliament. It's an august house. You must carry yourself in a certain manner to be able to deserve that honorable title. And currently, most of them are not doing that. So Parliament should see to Akpanyo Markins and deal with it. People like Salam, I believe that we have enough laws to deal with such reckless talk. We should go beyond just paying lip service. We don't want to entertain these kind of things. But Rwanda is fresh on our minds. This same reckless talk, and then people are entertaining it all over the place. Before we know it, it's going to blow up in our faces. Let's get our houses in order. Let's get people checked, but we should do it according to the dictates of the law.
Right. Let's listen to our final bite. This one is from the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Honorable Dr. Dominic Ayeni. Let's take a listen.
5 of the Constitution deals with the fundamental human rights and freedoms. Look at Article 21, which guarantees the fundamental, a right to free speech, to the right to demonstrate okay, and then the general freedoms of Ghanaians. But there are limits, all right? You can limit free speech if, for instance, it is something that, I mean, one that can undermine public order, all right, or public morals, okay, and for instance, for law enforcement reasons. So, if someone, for instance, is inciting hatred in our society, okay, we do not expect that the minority will say that we should sit down idle as a government and allow that person to, to go on, because those are some of the things that led to wars in countries such as Rwanda. We have not gotten there, okay, but it was the use of the radio, okay, the use of the media, that incited the the genocide that eventually took place in Rwanda. So there are limits to free speech, and I will say that the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is one of the staunchest supporters of free speech, because he himself, is a communicator by, he's a communication specialist. I don't want to say he was a journalist, all right, but he was into communication, and so he understands the importance of free speech in a democratic society. As Attorney General, I do understand the importance of free speech in a democratic society, and I would be the last person, okay, to want to end run the rights of our citizens to freely express themselves. But I should also not be the person who will sit idle when matters are being taken into the citizens are taking matters into their hands when it comes to free expression. So I don't want to comment specifically on what is the subject matter because it is pending in court, okay, but I believe that this government will uphold the freedom of every Ghanaian, to freely express themselves.
Continue to harass, molest, intimidate our members.
Right. So that's Honorable Dr. Dominic Ayini. He is the Minister for Justice and also Attorney General. Right. And that brings us to the last leg of our conversation. I was expecting that these reporters would ask him exactly what would be done about not the Abronye issue, but some of the comments that have been made afterwards. The likes of the minority leader have said things. He has said things. Also, the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party has also said things. What I wished the reporters who spoke with him had asked him about these issues and his opinions, on them. But you heard the Attorney General. Yeah. Where he said he didn't want to even go into the Abronye issue because it was still in court, and that would have been prejudicial for him to have made any comments on it and say that, look, this was wrong or this was right. He has left that to the judge. But then again, how should we be dealing with this issue? You were talking about the laws. You mentioned the laws last time when you were having a conversation. What loopholes in the laws are being exploited? What gray areas in the laws are being exploited? Because it appears that, we say that freedom of speech, and already the New Patriotic Party, I don't know if you have heard, the New Patriotic Party, they have petitioned the diplomatic corps on what they say is gagging of free speech. And so, should, and sometimes this question becomes even cliche, but should free speech mean that people should be allowed to say whatever they want to say, and when they say things that can put our country in jeopardy and we decide to take legal actions, they try to rally people to come to their defense, and then you see people demonstrating. Like, why should we be practicing this kind of democracy?
Bless. Anyway, this just popped up on my mind. Salam is actually the national youth organizer
okay.
Of the NPP.
The national organizer is Nanabi.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, like you rightly said, following what the Attorney General just said. Look, we have freedom of speech. That freedom is to allow you to express yourself. And I don't think there's any, expression in insults or defaming people. That's not expression at all. So for me, like I keep saying, look, everything should work within where your freedom ends is where someone's freedom begins.
Yeah.
Fact that you have the freedom of speech, it doesn't mean just say anything you want to say about people. It doesn't work like that. That's why we have laws. So yes, your freedom to speak and express yourself is guaranteed, and it is for a reason, so that nobody will cower you into submission, so that you speak out when you see injustice. You speak out when you want better conditions for your people in the country. That is the kind of speech that is guaranteed by freedom. Not insulting people, defaming people, posting people and saying all manner of things about them. That is not freedom of speech. And the law is there to protect such people and deal with people who will be conducting themselves in that manner. So for me, it's as simple as that. I am not going to condone any form of reckless talk by anybody. I won't. Whether it is done by the NDC or the NPP. I'm a member of the NDC. If anybody speaks recklessly in the NDC, I'll be the first to call the person out. Same way if it happens in the NPP, I'll call them out. And the law must work. Once it infringes on people's rights, like what Abonye did to the judge, and then Abonye also came, he was more like pouring more fuel into the fire. They must all face the consequences of the law. We must have things to deter people from behaving in that manner. That's not the kind of thing we want to be encouraging in this country. Now most of our politicians are not serving as any good models for young people who are coming up. So there must be deterrence. The Attorney General has spoken. Nobody is trying to infringe on anybody's right to free speech. Nobody. That's why he's even decided not to comment on any of the issues in court currently. The court should deal with that. Of course, there are laws. The judgments will come out. Then we can be able to, go into it and know whether, it was right to have taken a decision on the matter or whatever it is. Once the full legal, system is, gone through in court, the person is taken through it. Abronya will have his day in court. He should go and defend himself. Tell the court why he said the manner of things he said about the judge. And then the law will speak. If the law finds him, that he's not committed any crime or whatever it is, or any offense, he will go free and go and continue doing what he's doing. Because the law says that he's not done anything wrong. By the same law is applied and he is found guilty, he will have to face the consequences. I believe that's how, things are done in any civilized country. If you open your mouth to speak, be ready for the consequences. That's how things are. Whatever you do, whatever action you take in a country that is governed by laws, know that there are consequences and eventually they will catch up with you. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter who is saying it or where it is coming from. That's why I'm particularly, not excited about the way people like Abonye Markins are being handled. I am not. It doesn't matter whether he's a minority leader or whatever he is. If any law he breaks, he must bear the full consequences of it. And I don't know why we are cherry picking. Sometimes when things are happening and it concerns certain people, we are slow to act and all that. It does not, engender any confidence in anybody at all. It means that the law is meant for certain people, and others, can have a rough brush when it comes to the law. Others get it very, very softly. No. It must apply regardless of who is involved. We must begin to see these things. All I am saying and asking for, bless, is very simple. In applying the law, let's apply it fairly, so that the consequences, when they come, will be acceptable to everybody. We will know that, look, you spoke recklessly, and the law caught up with you. That is why you've been, issued with a heavy fine, or you've been sent to prison to go and serve a sentence. When everything is clear like that, the legal system goes through smoothly. Nobody is impeded in any way. The holding spaces, if you have to be detained and all that, nobody maltreats you and all that. Afterwards, we know that, look, you've gone through the process. You've been able to defend yourself. Just that you fell foul of the law. That's why you are facing the consequences. That way, nobody will speak ill about any judge or any court proceedings or the government of the day. It is when these things, in a certain way, are, done through some, political machinations and all that. That's where people, become uncomfortable. So let the processes go. And look, the MPP should know. They are not going to get it easy because they've indicated through Salam Mustafa. I have not heard any of their leaders coming out to condemn what Mustafa has said. So it means it's something that they are all okay with, that they intend to make this country ungovernable. So they should be on alert. They will bear and face the full consequences thereof. They will. Because this country is governed by laws. Anybody who does anything that infringes on any law will bear the consequences. And this has nothing to do with politics or political persecution at all. You fall foul of the law will deal with you. And I'm happy about what the Attorney General has said. Nobody's going after anybody. But if you fall foul of the law must take its course. It's as simple as that.
Right. So thank you so much, Holali Agbemava. Our time is up. Good afternoon to my good friend Abdul Razak Mahama, who is doing the watching all the way from Seattle in the United States of America. Good afternoon to Angela Medoda, who is also doing the watching. Sami, watching all the way from Takoradi. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Eben, watching from Pristia. Thank you, Eben from Pristia, as usual, for God and country. Thank you so much. Let me also remind you that we are on YouTube, so the messages that most of you have shared with us on our YouTube, I'll try my best possible to get to some, to get to some of them. But it's been, all in all, it's been a very interesting show on the national agenda, and sometimes, I mean, we like I said, I do have my personal opinion as well, and so sometimes I'm tempted to blurt them out, and it is not aligned to any political party, by the way, but in the interest of our nation, of our dear nation. Sometimes the NDC will do certain things that are right. It's important that when they are right, we say it. When they are wrong, it is important that we say it. If the NPP does something which is right, it is important that we let the world know. If it is wrong, too, we would let the world know. And so that is just about that. It's not just aligning yourself to a particular political party or saying that you are not you are not biased, or to say that you are neutral. And so that's just about that. I think I have the YouTube here. Let's look at some of your comments that you shared with us today on the national agenda. Okay. I'm finding it extremely difficult to get a comment on YouTube. Unfortunately, I'm unable to read them. I know the comments are there, but unfortunately, I'm unable to read them. But I want to thank you so much for your time this afternoon on the national agenda. It's been very insightful. It's been very educative. We hope that in the spirit of national unity and national cohesion, nobody incites anybody to come and then say things that would put our country in jeopardy. We are enjoying some peace and would want to continue enjoying that peace. Okay, so this one here says that, good evening, Bless. I'm watching you from Dubai. We can only sanitize the system in Ghana if we keep on punishing wrongdoing and not pampering wrongdoing. Okay, right. This is some of the message that we got. Unfortunately, I'm unable to read the rest because our time is up. But I want to thank you so much for your time. I'll see you tomorrow on the national agenda. Thank you so much, Holali, as usual. I enjoyed myself. You did as well? Right. Right. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, do have a good afternoon and keep watching Pan-African television. Truly, truly African.
Truly African.
In previous